Good morning, afternoon, evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Rookie Mode podcast with your host, Michael, and my co-host, Connor.
Hello, hello.
We're going to be talking about just some general stuff happening with the Titans, the offseason, specifically Arthur Smith, and then we're going to get mostly into the Predators just because it is officially hockey season. Should be a good show. Hope y'all enjoy. Strap in. As most people know at this point, Arthur Smith is now the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, and nothing but the best wishes for him going forward. Obviously, we hate to see it when anyone from within the organization who's had such success as Arthur has leave the organization. But when you have head coaching vacancies and you coach one of the best offenses in the league, you're bound to get some interest, and he's just doing what's best for his future career, and I can't say that I blame him, but I will miss him no matter what.
Yeah, I think, like you said, and I think I mentioned it in one of the last couple episodes too, is it's always hard to have somebody in the organization leave, and especially when it's a high-profile position like the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, or even the coach, God forbid. But yeah, he was a good dude, brought a lot to the team, and I wish him well also.
So that leaves the question, who do the Titans find to replace Arthur Smith? Because obviously we didn't really have a defensive coordinator the entirety of last season, even though at the end of the year press conference that Vrabel had, he kind of named Shane Bowen as the de facto defensive coordinator. He didn't really – it was typical coach speak from Vrabel about just like, oh, yeah, Shane Bowen was, making play calls, blah, 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 blah. But he wasn't like really the defensive coordinator, so now we don't really have a defensive coordinator or an offensive coordinator. I think the solution to offensive coordinator is a bit more simple than DC. Just I would personally prefer if they did what they did with Arthur Smith and they promoted someone from within, someone who knows the system, someone who all the guys are comfortable with, specifically the quarterbacks coach. I can't remember what his name was off the top of my head. But I have heard good things about the quarterbacks coach. I'm pretty sure he was basically the runner-up to Arthur Smith when he was promoted to OC from his tight ends position. I've just been informed that the quarterbacks coach name is Pat O'Hara, so hopefully he is the next offensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans. At least that's what I think should happen going forward. Mostly because of his rapport with Ryan Tannehill. If you can have a good relationship and very easy communication with your quarterback, especially in this league, you're going to go a long way. The way that Tannehill's been playing ever since he became a starter, it's his best football that he's ever played in his career. So I think if he's able to translate what he's done with Tannehill going forward with the rest of the offense, I think we should pick up basically right where we left off. I'm not going to say that we're going to have another 2,000-yard rushing season from Henry or top three offense in the league, but I still say that we're going to be an elite offense as long as we hire from within someone, especially like Pat O'Hara.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I don't really know much about coaching in the league, so I wouldn't know any of the big names that are looking for jobs, but that seems like a good idea is to hire within because I'm sure team chemistry and team morale, et cetera, is all a big part of football especially, so I think that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. The last thing you want to happen is just bring in another new offensive coordinator who's, by all accounts, a good offensive coordinator, but he brings in a completely different system that none of the players are used to. And obviously right now our offense, it runs through Derrick Henry and it goes through the play action afterwards. So you don't want to bring in someone like, say, Eric Bieniemy of the Chiefs, who's just like, oh, we have all these weapons. Go ahead, Mahomes, just throw the ball all around the yard, have whatever fun you want. So obviously two different play styles comparatively. So if we hire from within the organization, then I think that we're going to pick up right where we left off.
Yeah, I think Arthur Smith even made a comment when I saw that he was moved over to the Falcons, or got hired by the Falcons, I should say. He said that I'm no longer going to have Derrick Henry. You're not going to find another guy like Derrick Henry, so it's going to be a whole new ball game, and he's going to have to find a new way to make that offense work or make the team as a whole work. Yeah, it's hard to do when you just got so many options, but like I said, I'm all for hiring from within and just keeping it between guys that know the system already and already have good relationships with the players and all know each other. So yeah.
As for defensive coordinator, I think that's a much more interesting topic to get into because we don't have one. We didn't have one for literally all year last year. And a lot of people say the lack of a defensive coordinator is the reason that the defense was so poor. There is probably a lot of truth in that. At this point, anything is better than nothing. If they officially announce Shane Bowen as the defensive coordinator, then congratulations. I don't think he can get any worse than it was last year. So it's only uphill for Shane Bowen at this point. And if he somehow gets worse, then I don't know what we're gonna do then.
Yeah, you always want to take a step forward, and like you said, I don't think there's much worse you can get.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to take a step backwards when your back's against the wall at that position.
if you're already at the bottom of the hill, there's only directions up.
So a couple of other head coaches that have been fired this past offseason that might have some defensive background in them, specifically a Matt Patricia, former Patriots defensive coordinator, former Lions head coach. And I feel like he might be a pretty good fit at D coordinator. It's not like those Patriots defenses when he was there were anything special, but they were never like absolutely god-awful horrendous like ours was this year. Another interesting hire, I don't know if Doug Peterson is specialty is like offense or defense, but I mean, if he's a defensive-minded head coach, then might as well make him defensive-minded defensive coordinator. Same goes with Anthony Lynn of the Chargers. He just got fired after a very bad year on his end, understandably so. I've asked a couple of people I know are Chargers fans about him being a defensive coordinator, and they were just like, I mean, he might work. But at this point, if they hire anybody, I'm going to be okay with it because it's better to have a name to a position or a face to a position and literally anything else other than just like, oh, the defense is being called by some random dude that no one knows. Does he even exist? What is Shane Bowen doing? Is he the linebackers coach? Is he the defensive coordinator? Is Vrabel calling the plays? Just someone to be able to hold accountable for when the defense sucks, basically, or to praise when the defense is good. Hopefully we see more of that going into the future.
Yeah, like I said a couple episodes ago, I like watching defense, so hopefully the Titans can pick somebody up or at least improve without a defensive coordinator. Either way, I mean, you want to see the team grow as a whole, regardless of which side of the ball you're on or which side of the ball you're looking at. But I don't know if it's the best strategy to go moving forward to just to try to go by. We just have to outscore them, which is what I feel like we did last season. Was it being 20-20, and it's still early on in the game or something like that, and it's
or like with the Texans game where it was tied 38-38 with 15 seconds left.
Yeah, I was gonna say like in the high 30s, and it seems like a shootout when really it's just our defense is bad. So
yeah,
I just don't think it's a good mindset to be in.
Couldn't stop a cold.
I guess so. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about Predators hockey after talking a little bit about the NFL. And, of course, the Titan season is over. Has been over a little bit, sadly. But, like I said, on to the NHL. Yeah, we had a good first 3 games. I think even the game we lost really... Honestly, I don't think we should have lost. As Michael said in the last episode, I'm sure it's just how the puck bounces a lot, and sometimes you just get unlucky, and a lot of the times the hockey gods cannot be in your favor. And I felt like that was the case for us in the last game because you had, honestly, I think Philip Forsberg hit the posts like 2 or 3 times, I believe.
He hit the crossbar on one. I thought that was a goal. First time he hit it, it went like right in, it bounced just straight down, never crossed the line.
Yeah, but I think him and a couple other players hit the post or the crossbar a couple times, so it just wasn't going our way. So as most of you know, the Predators have played 3 games, and they've won 2 of them, both of them against the Blue Jackets, and they've lost. The one game they lost was against the Hurricanes of Carolina. And honestly, in my opinion, I think we should have won the game. It was just, like we mentioned before, it was just a bunch of unlucky bounces. And
we easily could have lost that second Blue Jackets game too. We just had like 4 goals in like 5 minutes.
I think it was
crazy.
I think it was a close game. I remember it being a close game, and then everybody was tweeting like, "Well, it was a close game," like ... So that's kind of how that.
I'm pretty sure it was tied 1-1 going into the third, and then all of a sudden, like
we were like 4 or 5.
It was tied 1-1 with like 9 minutes left in the third. Then all of a sudden, it's 5-2.
Yeah, but honestly, like I said, we should have won the Carolina game. It just Forsberg hit the post or the crossbar even a couple of times. I'm thinking 2 or 3, and we might have had a couple other players like get really close. But I mean, that's really all the information we got from the game's like overall performance. I mean, what have you thought?
Sometimes there are just nights where you can do everything right, but the puck just doesn't go in the net for some reason.
Yeah, I mean that's the general consensus for the games that we've played so far. If we want to go a little bit deeper, I honestly think the players. Actually, my honest opinion is this team could be very dangerous. I've watched the game as much as I can.
I agree.
The power play looks absolutely disgusting, and I mean that in a good way because in the past couple of years I haven't seen passing this good in a while, and I've
take all this with a grain of salt because it's only 3 games. But when we compared this power play to like last year when it was dead last, was it last year or the year before? It was just dead last.
I think it was last year. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just horrendous. See any improvement is a very nice thing.
Yeah, but the passing in general looks really good, and that's what you need on a power play because, I mean, obviously you're up a man, so if you can get one guy to get out of position for half a second, that's all you need to pass the puck over to somebody that's open and score a goal. So, honestly, yeah, I think the passing has been great, and I'm looking forward to what else we have in store for the power play. So.
A lot of times last year it just seemed that they were kind of playing like almost sluggish and just lethargic. A lot of games last year just seemed like they were just going through the motions. Middle of the pack team were just kind of like, and then Corona hits, and then you're just like, oh, whatever. But especially to start this year, it seems like they're just playing with some sort of like intensity. Like they play with a speed that wasn't there last year. I don't know if that's like the new guys in the locker room or just John Hines actually like being able to start a new season with them. It's like whenever you get a new head coach in the middle of the season, usually not a recipe for success, but now that he's had a whole offseason to prepare, he's had enough time to get to know everybody and implement his stuff instead of just changing everything on the fly for everybody, bringing in all the new faces on the team. From what I've seen, at least, the guys just they just play better than they did last year. Obviously, the record is yet to show that because it's, again, only 3 games in. But there's just some sort of intensity that they're playing with this year that I think they could have used last year.
I think it's fair to say that you have usually every season will start off that way, but I would say something's different. I want to say something's different about this year, just because, like I said, just the power play alone, you see much quicker reactions from the guys on the ice. You see better passing, better positioning. Forsberg looks really good. I think it usually takes him a while to warm up a little bit, and now I think he's basically had a goal. I think he's had a goal.
He's had a goal all 3 games so far.
Yeah, so he's ripping shots. He's had a really good shot in. It was either the second Columbus game or
the one he had against the Canes to tie it up 2-2.
Was it like top right corner?
I think so, because it was like, I remember the Hurricanes had just scored. We got down 2-1. Then literally like a minute later, Forsberg ties it back up. And what he did to that goalie is illegal in at least 3 countries. It was so disgusting.
Yeah, I think Forsberg seems like he's got a fire under him or something else under him
Some sort of intensity that
something,
just like,
yeah, exactly.
It's usually there when he plays, but like to start off the season like this, I think it's a good first impression for how the season's gonna go.
Yeah, like he's always been known as like more of a power, but has skill power forward. He always has that physical intensity that he like hits people when they're coming up behind him. You can tell every season he's played in, you've always seen him pull off something crazy and some crazy goal or some stick handling move. But I like to see good shots, and he's had a couple of them already. When you want to talk about the new guys, Luke Kunin or Cunnin, honestly,
I think it's Cunnin. That's the pronunciation I've always heard for every broadcast I've listened to.
Yeah, Luke Cunnin, he's honestly done really well. He had a good shot on his goal.
He scored the very first goal of the season. But I've been very impressed with Cunnin. I think he's he's quickly become a lot of people's favorite Predators. At least of the new guys, he's probably most people's favorite newcomer. But I feel like he's going to be able to do really well for this season. He's going to replace Craig Smith very easily, because that's not really an extremely high bar to accomplish, but I think he's going to fit that mold very well. He's going to do extremely well for us, and he's going to be a very integral part going forward, especially for offense outside of the Jofa line, because that was like last year, if it wasn't the Jofa line, it was basically non-existent.
Yeah, I mean, you had a little bit of offense or you had a little bit of expected offense from like Turris and Duchesne. And
Duchesne didn't score his first goal until the Winter Classic with us last year, which is.
But he did have a lot of points though. I remember that the first game he was in Bridgestone. I remember him having he would go off, have like 2 or 3 assists, or he would have a bunch of points, but he just wouldn't score if I remember correctly.
You don't sign a guy to get you assists. You sign a guy to score you goals. At least a guy like that.
Mm-hmm. Luke Cunnin actually has 2 goals. I forgot he scored a second one. But, I mean, yeah, the new guys, Richardson and Kunin, which, I mean, they're on offense. So, I mean, of course you're going to or they're scoring goals. So, of course, you're going to notice them. But I think everyone, even the defensemen especially, are stepping up to the plate and producing as many minutes as they can on the ice. Because I think I saw somebody tweet saying, like, yeah, it makes it easier on Yossi and Ellis and Ekholm when, you have 3 other players that can take on more ice time than just those other 3 star players.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way, believe it or not. I think it does make it hard on Yossi if he's got to play 25, 30 minutes a game. It's just
he was doing that a lot last year. I just remember always hearing this, like, yeah, Yossi's racking up the minutes literally every single night that he plays, and it's just like he's got to get tired at some point. But I mean, he won the Norris Trophy, so it was working. Probably didn't want to play that much, but he kind of had to, and he fulfilled his role.
Yeah, but overall, I think the new guys are all doing really well, and even like, of course, like we said, Cunnin and Richardson, they score goals, so of course you're gonna see them, especially Cunnin. I do think Cunnin has a lot of potential on the team. Borwicki, Matt Benning, I've seen some just not great defense. I mean, they're not all-stars by no means, but I mean, they're doing their job. That's all you can ask them to do. But everybody else, I mean, I'm seeing some good stuff, and as I've said before, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season to see what we can accomplish.
Of the games that we've played so far, even when we get down, the only time that I felt that in my mind I was saying to myself, "Oh, it's over now," is when the Canes scored that empty net goal to make it 4-2 with like a minute and a half left, and it's like, oh yeah, that's the game. Oh well, we tried our best. But for the majority of that game, and whenever we were down against Columbus those couple times, but there was something that I was watching. I always felt like, we're down, but I'm not really upset about it because I feel like we legitimately still have a shot to win this game. We did, for the most part. We beat the Blue Jackets both times and just barely lost to the Canes. But I just feel like that's going to be the attitude going forward, is like, I feel like this team can legitimately compete in every single game they play. And there's never going to be many circumstances where it's just like, we get down 3-1 like halfway through the second. It's just like, oh, nothing's going to happen. We're just going to lose. Oh, well. I feel like we're going to be able to fight through basically any situation that we're in and be able to at least compete regardless if we win or lose.
Yeah, I mean, there's a saying in hockey, you got to play all 60 minutes. And I saw a tweet the other day when someone was like, it was some kind of like funny meme, and it was like, my face when the Predators get scored on with whole 59 minutes left in the game, and they basically just like, we're giving up. And that's basically how it's felt a lot of seasons, where even though we have these big name players on our team,
especially last year.
Yeah, we got these big name players on our team, and we're like, oh man, we're down 1-0 with 15 minutes to go in the first period. Might as well just go ahead and leave. Mm-hmm. You guys know, no, there's no leaving Bridgestone Arena. You got to stay till the end. Come on. You're not a true fan if you leave early. Come on.
Yeah, but it's just like, it seemed like every single game last year they'd have just an abysmal period of hockey, whether it be the first, second, or third. Every single game they would just do awful for 20 minutes, and then usually in the same game they'd have a really good like next period. Obviously, it's like if their abysmal period came in the third, they weren't, but they'd always have like a great period and a horrible period in every single game, and it was like it kept it quote unquote interesting, not for the heart or anything like that. Most of the games were really close. Fortunately for some of the outcome, unfortunately for others, like was it the Red Wings that we went to last year where we were up like 5-1 and then lost 6-5 in overtime?
I don't even know. I can't remember, honestly. But, I mean, that sounds right. I mean, because I've said it before, what the Predators like to do is they'll get up and they'll sit back. Like, they basically – and that's what I didn't like about – I don't know if it was Laviolette's offense or if that was just a style of play the Predators in general had or what it was, but it felt like we would get up, say 4-1, and it was the second period. From that point on, we would get up to the red line, the center ice line, and then we'd dump it in, back off, get a change, and then go back on defense. And then we get the puck out of the zone, get to the red line, dump it in, make a change. And that was just over and over and over again, and it just made me so frustrated because I don't like seeing – because that's not – I mean, yeah, it may be kind of like the equivalent of chewing clock, I guess, in football, where you're just wasting time making them go get the puck and take it back out of their zone. And it may be a strategy, I guess, to be like, oh, they may make a bad pass coming out of their zone and we'll get it and get a breakaway or something like that. But I don't like that style of play. I've never liked it.
It's very passive.
It's very passive. That's a good word for it. And I never liked it. I'll say it a billion times, and I'm hoping we get out of that style of play. But I didn't see that. I haven't seen that at least noticeable from the 3 games, and I hope we don't go back to that because, I mean, obviously we're winning games. We're 2-1 record. We beat the Blue Jackets in the second game 5-2, even though they had 10 more or 11 more shots than us. The first game we had similar shots. We're up 3-1. So I mean, it seems like we're playing aggressive, and in the Hurricanes, even though we lost, we had 11 more shots than them, but lost 4-2. So I would just chalk that up to, like we were saying earlier, just bad bounces. And we were playing aggressive. The shots proved that. And I definitely don't want to put it on Pekka because didn't Pekka start against the Hurricanes?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so I don't put that on Pekka. I mean,
Hughes played the first 2 games, and then Peck's went. His first start of the year was against the Hurricanes.
Yeah, so I don't put that on Pekka by no means. It's just we weren't having a good offensive game, period. So, and like I said, the shots show that we were aggressive, and I think the offense accomplished their job. It just wasn't their night. They didn't offer enough pucks, I guess, to the hockey gods or something. So.
I will say that the difference between Saros and Rene at this point, it's very clear that Saros is the better goalie, at least from what I've seen. That's not to say Pekka's bad, but just 2 years ago, everyone in Nashville said, yeah, I'll take Pekka 100 times out of 100 over Saros 2 years ago. But now I think that's almost flip-flopped at this point. I know it's like Pekka's only played 1 game, and I'm not saying that he's just absolutely god-awful anymore. I don't know what it was, he seemed just a little bit slow in that game. Like his reactions, obviously, like the first couple games, like the first couple of goals they had on him were breakaways that were just like counterattacks where it was like 2-on-1, 1-on-nobody. In his younger days, he probably could have stopped both of those, let's be real. But there's just something about his play. He just seemed a bit sluggish compared to what he was, and I think going forward, obviously, UC Saros is going to be the goalie for us, and I completely understand why, and I don't think anyone's going to be upset at that. Obviously, people are going to be upset because like it's not Pekka, and everyone loves Pekka. It's just the changing of the guard at this point.
Yeah, that's true, and I'm definitely going to hate to see Pekka go. I've always enjoyed watching Pekka play, and I think with him being 38 years old, which I actually just now remembered. I was thinking he was like 36 or something, but for some reason 38 sounds a lot worse than 35 or 36. It does seem like just yesterday he was having his like 35th birthday or something. So, but yeah, 38 years old. I mean, you're not gonna be as fast or as quick as somebody who's 25, which Saros is, and I think that's what Pekka's game has evolved into. Is like, I'm gonna be a positional goalie. I'm gonna have to rely on my positioning to make saves, which he's done a lot, and that's been his style of play I feel like most of his career, or at least as long as I've been watching him. And that's just how he's always played, and I feel like that's one of his big weaknesses is quickly changing shots, which in 2016 when we played the Blackhawks and got knocked out in the first round, I feel like the reason we lost that series is because in those years the Blackhawks were really good at quickly changing shots, and they always had somebody in front of the net to redirect it or something like that.
Now they're not really good at anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think have they even won a game yet?
Them and the Red Wings are just the dregs of the NHL. They're just the absolute two worst teams. I think, no, the Red Wings actually beat the...
They did.
They beat the Blue Jackets.
They beat somebody.
Yeah, the Red Wings, I think they beat the Blue Jackets a couple days ago. They got into like a big fight at the end of the game, too. Which is kind of funny to watch, honestly.
Yeah, the Blackhawks are 0-3-1, so they've lost 3 and then lost 1. I mean,
they've lost all 4 of their games, but 1 was in overtime, so they have a point.
Yeah, they have
the season.
Sadly, they have.
They have a point.
But yeah, I mean I've always liked watching Pekka, but his style of play just in the new age of hockey where it's faster players, faster is better. You're not going to be able to do much with positioning. You can get saves. You can make saves, obviously, with being a positional goalie, I feel like. But I just feel like Saros, with him being younger and more nimble, you're just going to be able to move around quicker. And even though Saros is smaller, which I say smaller, but he's like 5'11", I think.
I mean, Pekka is 6'5", so
yeah,
that's the big thing with him, and just not being able to make the athletic saves anymore, because like he's getting up there in age, but he's 6.5 feet tall. He can only move so quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but even like I was saying, like Saros is only 5'11", but he can still block a lot of the net. And if worst comes to worst, they pass it across the ice for a one-timer. He can get over there quick and save it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the big thing with the changing of the guard, as you said, is just out with the older, more positional, less agile goalie, and in with the younger, more agile and quicker goalie. So
it's like in the NFL where it's like it was almost a complete pocket passing league before. Now, if you can't run, you're not going to be very successful as a quarterback unless you're Tom Brady, who's 43 years old and just drinks from the fountain of youth every so often, and he can just stay in the pocket and carve you up. But that's just how sports are evolving. Just in general, you have to be super fast, super athletic, super big. Every sport you play, you need to look like a power forward, but be able to dribble like a point guard. It's just insane what some of these athletes can do at the size they are. Like DK Metcalf, Jesus Christ, he's a specimen.
So with all that being said, we got a lot of new faces in Nashville, and I'm liking what I'm seeing so far from the new guys. They've showed up to play, definitely showed everybody that they want to be here, and they hope they enjoy playing for the Predators, and hopefully they can give us a cup in the near future. So, yeah, the goalies, I do see Pekka Pekka's skills declining for sure. I mean, he is in his last year of his contract, I believe, so there's not much. I don't think there's much more you can get out of him. I just feel like as a goalie, if you're older than like 40 as a goalie, I don't know how you're doing the splits. There's not doing the splits in your 40s, I don't think, and you just kind of throw your body at the puck eventually. That's all you can.
If he does get re-signed for whatever reason, it's going to be a super minimal contract, just because, like, yeah, you're old, but UC is going to be taking on like 80% of the games. You can play, like, just in case we need you. Here's like $2 million for a couple of years. Like, we love you because you're Pekka Rinne. So, and the city of Nashville loves him, so no one's going to want to see him go. But that time is fast approaching, faster than anyone really wants. But we got plenty of goalies in the pipeline on the way in the future, so I think we're going to be just fine. That's one of the things, like, I was talking to my dad about this at dinner last night, or tonight actually, but the Predators have seem to always have, like, pretty good goalies. There's, like, Chris Mason, Thomas Vokoun, Pecorine, and now UC Saros. It's like the Titans and running backs. We had Earl Campbell back with the Oilers, then Eddie George, Chris Johnson, Derrick Henry. It's just something about those teams and those specific positions where it just seems like, we're never going into a draft or anything being like, God, we really need a running back, or we really need a goalie, because it just seems like those positions are always filled out.
All right, I think that's all we got for tonight's episode, and hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you later.
Yep. Peace.
Peace.